स्फुरत्तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमापीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्यां मलिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् पराम् अम्बिकाम्। ॐ ध्यायेन्नित्यं महेशं रजतगिरिनिभं चारुचन्द्रावतंसं रत्नाकल्पोज्ज्वलाङ्गं परशुमृगवरभीतिहस्तं प्रसन्नं पद्मासीनं समन्तात् स्तुतममरगणैः व्याघ्रकृत्तिं वसानं विश्वाद्यं विश्वबीजं निखिलभयहरं पञ्चवक्त्रं त्रिनेत्रम्। ॐ नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्।
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकः पाण्डवाश्चैव किं कुर्वत सञ्जय। श्रीभगवानुवाच क्लैब्यं मास्मगमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वयुपपद्यते क्षुद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्तोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप। कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धि मास्तिता जनकादयः लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि। प्रकृतिः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहम् इति मन्यते। इन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषो व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्न वशमागच्छेतौ यस्य परिपन्थिनौ। अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादेव नियोजितः। श्रीभगवानुवाच काम एष क्रोध एष रजोगुणसमुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्धेनम् इह वैरिणम् धूमेनाव्रिये वह्नि यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्। तस्मात् त्वम् इन्द्रियाण्यादौ नियम्य भरतर्षभ पाप्मानं प्रजहीयेनं ज्ञानविज्ञाननाशनम्। इन्द्रियाणि पराण्याहुः इन्द्रियेभ्यः परं मनः मनसस्तु परा बुद्धिः यो बुद्धेः परतस्तु सः एवं बुद्धेः परं बुद्ध्वा संस्तभ्यात्मानमात्मना जहि शत्रुं महाबाहो कामरूपं दुरासदम्.
Thank you, Pranav. Acha. So we were in chapter 6. Pranav, can you remind me where we stopped? Uddhared Atmana? Yeah.
We finished 6 verse, 6th, Dr. Shankar.
Acha.
Moving to 7th.
Oh, we finished 6th also, right? Okay, yes. Moving to 7. So I think everyone is able to remember Uddhared Atmana Atmanam Atmanam Avasadaye Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhuhu Atmaiva Rupuratmana, right? This is verse 5. This is worth memorizing. I always found it very inspiring. Then number 6 is just succeeding and qualifying that. So how is the self friend of the self? Yena Atmaiva Atmana Jitaha. It's a friend when of that self by which the self has been subdued, meaning the mind and sense organs, etc. Self alone operates as a foe of the one unsubdued by the self. So this actually you can see quite easily in sense of how easy is the mind drawn towards even the word of the Lord. So when the mind is calm, then it's more receptive to the sayings in the Bhagavad Gita. When the mind is not calm and controlled, then it is harder, right? In fact, there can be many doubts arising. Some of the statements may even seem contrary, etc. So even a very practical example one can see of 6. Now we go to 7. So let us see what the commentary is. Bandhu iti. Self is the friend of that self which has been subdued by itself. Bandhu atma atmanah tasya. Tasya atmanah sa atma bandhu yena atmana atma eva jitaha. Atma karya karana sanghatah yena vashikritah. The subdued self is the conglomerate of effect and instruments, the body and its organs. So I said mind and senses. Yena vashikritah jitendriya ityarthah. Anatmanah tu ajitatmanah tu shatrutve shatrubhave varteta atma eva shatruvat. Yatha anatma shatru atmanah upakari tatha atma atmanah upakare varteta ityarthah. What does that mean? Of the unsubdued self, the foe is the self alone. As non-self is self's foe or adversary, so this very self that is unsubdued will operate as the foe. So in the Yoga Sutra, the principal obstacle, or shall we say, the principal taint, klesha, is avidya. Right? And there is a technical definition of avidya given in the Yoga Sutra. Anitya, ashuchi, dukkha anatmasu nitya shruchi sukha atmakyatehe avidya. Right? So what does that mean? The verse has to be unraveled, the sutra, in the following way. So the first four characteristics are given in what is called the locative case, seventh case, which means in these four. So seeing in these four, these other four. What are the first four and what is the second four? And each one corresponds one to one. So seeing in anitya, in the transient. So anitya, seeing in that nitya. Ashuchi, seeing in the impure, the pure. Dukkha, seeing in pain, pleasure. Anatmasu, seeing in the non-self, the self. Okay? So this is important because if one understands this, only one will understand the last verse. As non-self is self's foe or adversary. So what is the non-self in this definition? The non-self is actually the body, conglomerate of body, sense organs, mind, buddhi, all the way up to that which is beyond the buddhi. In other words, the pancha koshas that are described in the Taittiriya Upanishad as Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, all these are the non-self. Okay, so in Yoga Sutra, what is said is echoed again here, and perhaps obviously because this is the Adhyaya on Jnana Yoga, right? So as long as that non-self has not been subdued, right, it operates as the adversary or the foe of the self, right? So that is the import here. On the other hand, the one who has mastered the here he says body and sense organs, this obviously corresponding to Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, etc. To that one, the self is a friend, right? Atma is a friend. So then leads to the next verse. Jitat manah prashantasya paramatma samahitah shitoshna sukha dukkheshu tatha mana apamanayoho. To the one who has subdued the self, Jitatmana, the one who has conquered all those associated with the five koshas. Prashantasya, the one who is quiet, in the very most fundamental peace sense. Prashanta is the original quiet or original peace, which is associated with the Atma. Paramatma samahitah. That supreme self is concentrated for one who has subdued the self and is quiescent. Shitoshna sukha dukkheshu. So here opposites are contrasted. From this is to be implied all the opposites that will be experienced through all the senses. So heat and cold, shita, cold, ushna, heat. Now they are in locative, sukha dukkheshu, and in pleasure and pain. Again, those two opposites. And also mana apamaniyo, in honor and disgrace. So that imperviousness is characteristic. Why? Okay. Jnana vijnana triptatma kutastho vijitendriyah yukta ityuchyate yogi samaloshta ashmakanchana. So why does this supreme indifference or imperviousness arise? It arises because that knowledge and realization, jnana vijnana, is satisfying like nothing else is. Right? See, only if there is something superior even to the first few things that he has talked about, right? Something that is superior to the dualities. Only if that is attained will the mind be satisfied, correct? So it must be more deeply satisfying than what is obtainable through the sense organs, etc. So if one has even a glimpse or a taste of that, then without even the normal tussle that others might feel, very naturally the mind is drawn towards that. Just like the honeybee is drawn naturally to the flower, right? The honeybee knows exactly which flower to go to, right? Why is that? Because it has a taste for the flower's nectar, correct? It's not distracted by the other flowers. So similarly, when the mind has taste of that, that's why it says jnana vijnana tripta atma, right? Tripti is that satisfaction, right? So jnana, which is this brahma jnana, right? The knowledge of that ultimate truth of the self itself. Vijnana. Now, with that knowledge comes a realization, an understanding of the entire world itself, right? That knowledge is productive of understanding of everything. That experience satisfies so deeply, triptatma, kutastha. So kutastha is actually a very interesting concept, and in one meaning, it actually means an anvil, but this anvil is unchangeable, immovable, right? So that is the state that is described here, the immovable, immutable state, who is kutastha, established, vijitendriya, having subdued his senses, yukta, that person is said to be integrated. Yogi is yukta. Iti uchyate. Yogi yukta iti uchyate. Samaloshta ashma kanchana. Seeing the same in loshta is some sort of clod of earth. Ashma, stone, and kanchana, gold. Meaning that those things that have typically value or lack of value in the external world are not similarly seen as distinctly desirable or undesirable. They are all the same. The same idea has been echoed in the earlier verse where he said, one who sees a learned Brahmin, a Gavi, Hastini, in a cow, in an elephant, in a dog eater also, the one who sees Samyak Darshana. Right? This is the same idea being reiterated here. But the root here is the satisfaction, the tripti. Moreover, Suhrin Mitra Ari Udasina Madhyastha Dveshya Bandhushu. So this is a very long compound, which is again in locative case. So in, the third in should be thought of Suhrin, good people. Suhrid becomes Suhrin. Mitra, friend. Ari, foe. Udasina, indifferent. Madhyastha, neutral. Dveshu, that is antagonists. Bandhushu, relations. Sadhushu, the righteous. Papeshu, and the unrighteous. Samabuddhi vishishyate. he excels whose intellect is the same in respect to all these. This is a very high, of course, order of being, right? The Brahmi Sthiti. So naturally, in the Vyavaharik exchanges of the world, this equanimity of thinking is difficult to accomplish, right? Naturally, one will be attracted to good people. And there is a powerful intermediate state to, I will give a intermediate recipe from Yoga Sutra, which is very useful actually. That helps to cultivate this, finally, this thinking to make it intrinsic. And that is Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshana Sukha Dukha Punya Punya Bhavanata Cheta Prasadram. So what Yoga Sutra says is, this is a very high state to achieve, right? This absolute indifference is very difficult to achieve. But how does it sit under the mind, and how should the mind be cultivated such that it can be built on this rock, if it, as it were? How is that? That is through this Yoga Sutra. That sutra says, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshana. Again, Yoga Sutra, you have to remember four things, they will correspond, one to one. Okay. So first one is Maitri, that is being friendly. Karuna, being compassionate. Mudita, delighting. Upekshana, being indifferent. So four states: be friendly, be compassionate, be delight, enjoy in, and be indifferent. To what four? To four attitudes that you see in other people, in all people. Maitri is Sukha, to one who is happy and in good frame of spirits, you can be friendly. Even in the same person may go through a time when they're in good spirits and not in good spirits. When they're in good spirits, be friendly. Karuna, to Dukkha, when they're in difficult situation, mentally you can arise the thought of compassion. You don't even have to do anything, right? Maitri Karuna. Mudita, whether you do or not, that depends. That's another level of discrimination. There are certain cases where you should do and certain cases where you should not do. Mudita. Mudita for what? What should you delight in? Punya. When you see somebody doing some good activity, right? Whatever it be, whether it be socially good, a religious activity, a spiritual activity, in that one can take delight. Upeksha, this is the hardest one. When you see a wicked act, an unrighteous act, an evil act, to be indifferent. This is a yogic way. If now this chapter 9, verse 9 attitude is very difficult to cultivate off the bat, right? But the verse I just told you, the sutra I just told you, this attitude is more practical to cultivate, right? Every day you can review and see, and you can see this is a very powerful formula, because if you apply this formula every day to every interaction, you will suddenly see that your worldly interactions become A, very easy, and B, they give you tremendous power. If you seek to concentrate power within yourself, this is the way to do it, right? Because most often we dissipate energy in trying to act against something that we perceive as wicked. Our vision is not 100%. Our vision is only 1%, right? So we take something and then we seek to go around exerting all kinds of energy to correct it. But if you can conserve that mental energy by becoming indifferent to it, you will actually channel the energy far more effectively in supporting that which is truly righteous and good, right?
Dr. Shankar,
Yes.
what is it that we are supposed to be indifferent to?
Anything that you perceive as unrighteous or wicked, apunya. Now, obviously, this the very characterization of what we call punya and apunya will change with time as the mind refines, right? It will be able to see more clearly what is punya and apunya. But this formula works very well because at whatever stage one is, if one repeatedly applies this discrimination, it speeds up the discrimination itself. So it's a very powerful formula for living, right? Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshana, Sukha, Dukha, Punya, 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 Bhavanataha, Cheta, Prasada. So that is the formula. And I think that without practicing that, it is very difficult to attain 9. 9 cannot be jumped to directly. Because there is a reason why this yogi, who is yukta, fully integrated, whose intellect is the same in all these situations. This is not the normal experience we have of most human beings, right? Would you say? Right? So then how does the ordinary human being get there? There must be a way. There must be a path, right? So this intermediate step that I told you is a powerful thing from the Yoga Sutra, which leads to this level of Samyak Darshana. Okay? So the first half of this verse is a single compound, I guess, like I said. The good man helps regardless of any requital, meaning regardless of getting anything back or not. The friend is one affectionate. The foe is the adversary. The indifferent one takes no sides. The neutral seeks the well-being of both of those who oppose each other. Madhyastha. The antagonist is the one whom one does not like. The relations are the kith and kin. In regard to all these, as also to the righteous who conform to the Shastras and the unrighteous who do evil, he excels, whose intellectual attitude is the same, who does not bother about what another is and does. Another reading for excels is vimuchyate, meaning is liberated. The idea is that this kind of person is the foremost among all those who have scaled yoga's peak. And now why? Why is this person indifferent? Because if you go back and refer back to the verse, Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvasha. Right? Yes. So he knows that all these works are only arising due to Prakriti. That person considered as papi merely has a preponderance of rajotamas. Right? That person perceived as sadhu has a preponderance of sattva. Nevertheless, there is a trace of rajotamas in the sadhu also, and there is a trace of sattva even in the papi. It's only the relative proportions that are different, right? Therefore, seeing that and seeing that those characteristics can even change in time, right? The integrated yukta is not moved. It has same attitude. He says, okay, this is red, green, and blue. In one, it appears as an orange. In another, appears as a deep violet. It is the same, right? It's only an admixture of colors. So, then, ataha evam uttama phala praptaye. So, in order to reap the best fruits, therefore, yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitaha ekaki yata chittatma nirashir aparigraha. So, yogi yunjita satatam. Let the yogi. So this is actually a kind of a recommendation. Yunjita, the verb form, is let him yoke, as it were. Let him or her. Let the yogi, meditator, ceaselessly concentrate, satatam atmanam, rahasi sthitaha, in solitude. Actually, ekaki is um, uh, rahasi sthita is that which is secretly inside, deeply inside, right? Deeply internal. Yogi iti, yogi dhyayi, yunjita, samadadhyat, satatam sarvada atmanam antakaranam rahasi ekante, giri guhadau sthitaha. So let him concentrate on the inner instrument, antakaranam, the inner sense, in solitude. Ekaki, yata chittatma, having controlled the chitta, which is the wandering mind, and the other pieces, which is body, senses, etc. Nirashi, without any mental clingings. Aparigraha, without grasping anything. This is a mental grasping. So aparigraha actually is one of the very special features of yoga. It comes in the yama niyama. Okay. So the yamas are ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Right? Niyama, shaucha, santosha, tapa, swadhyaya, ishvara pranidhana. So ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Ahimsa, you know, non-harming. Satya, truth. Asteya, non-stealing. Brahmacharya, always mind in walking in that Brahman, or celibacy in the physical plane. Aparigraha, non-grasping. Aparigraha sthairya janma kathanta sambodha. The fruit of that non-grasping is actually the knowledge of the reason for one's birth. So aparigraha is an important characteristic of, one might say, it is the in the first rung itself, it appears, of yoga. So in this way, one should, free from cravings, owning nothing, yogi must apply himself to yoga incessantly. Now you may ask, well, this is definitely a recommended path, right? Living in solitude, but not everybody is, those in grahastha ashram are not able to walk away into the forests and do this, right? So how does this apply to day to day? But one can apply these same principles mentally, right? Even if one cannot sit for all 24 hours, right? Or whatever waking hours, at least whatever time is available, the little break that one gets, even a fraction of that can be devoted to this practice, right? Which we call pranayam, dhyan, what we do as part of our sadhana every day, at least twice a day during the sandhya kal. This is a very important, and in that little time itself, this attitude can be cultivated, right? And that aparigraha is a mental grasping. So again, even in the beginning of this thing, when you read about Raja Janak, right? Raja Janak owned a kingdom, right? Yet he is a Brahmagyani and a yogi. How is that possible, right? Against his name are written treasuries and granaries and all the land in the kingdom, right? But yet he is a parigraha, because mentally he is unattached to them, right? So that attitude can be cultivated even in our daily ashrams of grahastha ashram, whatever it be, or brahmacharya. Even in those two ashrams, it can be cultivated. But Bhagavan is nevertheless giving here the prescription for the yoga path. So that's not to mean that to any way he's saying this is how it's done. This is how the Dhyana yoga is done. So, and you're aware We have so many numerous examples in our tradition of yogis who retired to the Himalayas. You can even in modern times, you can see there are people who have done this, right? Living in solitude and concentrating the mind. So then he says, Atha idanim yogam yunjanasya asana ahara vihara adinam yoga sadhanatvina niyamaha vaktavya should be spoken. That is now, Atha idanim now, yogam yunjanasya, in order to yoke this particular yoga, asana, posture, ahara, consumption of things, behaviors, idanim, adinam, all these, etc. Yoga sadhana, the means of yoga, tvena, yoga sadhana tvena, niyamaha, the prescriptions, vaktavya should be said. Prapta yogasya lakshanam, what is the characteristic of this attained yoga? Tat phaladi, what is the fruit of it? Ityadha arabhyate, all this is now being started. Tatra asanam eva tavat prathamam uchyate, there asana is given as the first. So now begins the section that lays down regulations regarding the posture, diet, recreation. I already started by telling you yama niyama when I saw aparigraha. So this is exactly explaining that of the practicing yogi. For these constitute the means to yoga. It also enumerates the characteristics of the perfected yogi and yoga's fruits and so forth. First is described posture. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiram asanam atmanah na atyuchritam nati nicham chailajina kushottaram. So shuchau deshe, in a clean spot, pratisthapya, having established oneself, sthiram, in a stable seat, firm seat, atmana, having established oneself, na ati uchritam, not too high, na ati nicham, not too low, chaila ajina kushottaram, either with cloth or ajina, which is the skin of usually deer skin, or kusha grass, and actually cloth or hide, and on top of that kusha grass, one over the other. So this is the prescribed way in which the rishis and other yogis meditated traditionally. So that is being described. Similar verse you can find in Hatha Yoga Pradipa, Ekante Matika Madhye, right? Alone in the middle of a matika, a small dwelling, hut. Then what follows after this? So the seating is, the physical seating is necessary for the mental seating, right? If the mind has to be in its asana posture, in the beginning, the physical body first has to be made in a stable. So in fact, sthira sukham asanam, this sthiram, sthiryam, stability, sukham asanam, the peace and pleasure that one gets in that stable seat, in that is called really asana. That is the fruit of that asana. Now, in the Yoga Sutra, there are, rather in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, 84 asanas, right, are given, correct? So now of these asanas, so many of them, each very powerful and designed, before we start our evening routines, we do some asana, right? Each of them is very powerful. And of them, there is a king of asanas, the preeminent one, which is Siddhasana, right? Now, the power of these asanas is that that particular arrangement of the body is most conducive to, for the mind to withdraw from the body, from the Annamaya Kosh into the Pranamaya Kosh. This the rishis and yogis have bestowed to us. Right? This yoga coming all the way from Bhagavan himself, right? In the form of the creator Brahma, Bhagavan gave us the Vedas. In the form of Vishnu, through the various incarnations as Yogeshwara Krishna, again, this was given. And then finally, in the form of Shiva as Adinath, we receive the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the Yoga Sutra, right? As Dakshinamurti, the instruction to the rishis. So in every aspect and form, the Lord has given the best prescriptions for human who is stuck in this bulok, right? So this, in this, Bhagavan is saying, he's giving a very, in one verse. Verse 11 forms 1/4 of the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, right? So Bhagavan is giving you in a condensed capsule form. Right? Now, for the one who is interested in following this path, naturally you will want to dive deep and understand what are the 84 asanas, what are the characteristics, etc., etc. Right? And of those, the Siddhasana. What is the power of the Siddhasana? The particular arrangement of the legs sitting in cross-legged fashion has tremendous benefit on the mind. When the legs are arranged in this following fashion, with the heel in the coming in contact with the perineum, the other heels placed on top of it, it is very, very powerful in helping the mind withdraw from the physical world. The natural desires that arise in the lower two chakras are much easier to control and restrain in the Siddhasana. Definitely, if one is not able, people can sit in a Sukhasana, any kind of sitting in a chair or sitting otherwise. But this, if it can be adopted, has benefit. It's not without reason, right? So, the other points also, obviously, a clean spot is desirable. The too high and too low also. There is a wisdom in this, which we will, it helps in the balance of the doshas that is in us. They are well balanced when one is neither too high or too low. Covered with a cloth or a hide and kusha grass. Kusha grass or darbha grass has very, very significant properties, purifying properties, right? So the rishis have given us the insight into what kind of things in the external world are most suitable for controlling the mind, right? Darbha grass is also used in all our Vedic rituals as a pavitram worn in the ring finger. In all our Vedic rituals, we start with the word Darbheshu Asinah. That means Darbheshu Asinah. Having asana on the darbha. Darbhan Dharayamanaha. Having worn the darbha. Then the rituals are started. Right? The very act of, the very presence of darbha is very purifying. At the time of eclipse, applying darbha on all food items that have to be stored in case they have to through the eclipse time is very, very powerful and protective of those food items. When placed on milk or on curd or on other items, they can be used then after the eclipse, right? Because eclipse does have subtle effect on food.
Dr. Shankar, what is the English or translation of that Darwa? I think I'm not aware of that.
I don't know. There is a name, but I do not remember it. There is probably a Latin name in the taxonomy classification, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
So that is the powder like, or that is like the Pusa is the grass, right?
Yes.
Pusa is the grass. We know that is in the Nepalese culture. But Darwa, unless there is different name for Nepali name, but I'm not aware of that. So
These are equivalent. Darba and Kusha are equivalent names.
okay.
So
Oh,
it's
okay.
a long grass with a sharp edge, very characteristic sharp edge. So if you run your hands along it, it has a sort of a grain direction, and against it. If you run against, you can easily cut yourself, actually. Therefore, the handling of Kusha grass,
Pusa and Darwa are the same thing.
yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right then.
Achha. So this is the reason. Why all these prescriptions? Then, having done that, what follows? Having set up a seat there, pratisthapya kim tatraikagram manah krutva yatachittendriya kriyah upavishyasane yunjat yogam atma vishuddhaye tatra ekagram manah krutva. Then making the mind one pointed. I think last time we talked about the magnifying glass and the paper, right? How the magnifying glass at the right focal length can concentrate the sun's rays enough to burn the paper. So this focusing ability is that ekagram, manakritva. There, having made the mind one pointed. Yata chitta indriya kriyaha. Having controlled the chitta. So we remember in Vedantic theory of personality, 4 aspects, functions, or faculties of mind are said. Manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. So even when the manas is controlled, which is the importer and exporter of actions, operating through the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas, when that is controlled, right, then the chitta starts to activate. So all the memories where the I feeling, all the experiences that limited I experienced will be repeated and played through the smrti, because there is this faculty of memory in us, right? It is one of the vrittis of the mind, one of the functions, the operations, modes of the mind. So that chitta itself has to be controlled. That and the indriya kriya, the activities of the mind and the senses. Upavishyasane, having seated. Upavishyasane is coming. Sitting on it is actually the first set translated. Yunjat, must let the yogi yoke, apply himself. Yunjat. Yogam atma vishuddhaye. Apply himself to yoga. Why? In order to purify the mind, which is the limited self. So that is a good place to stop. 12, we are at 6:21. Any comments or questions, what we covered so far?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
Can you elaborate on aparigraha?
So in a practical sense, in physical sense, it is non-grasping, right? So anything that is controlling the over-acquisitive sense in the most basic way, right? I mean, in today's world, the simplest thing is look at the amount of shopping and consumerism you see around you, right? How much of it is really necessary, right? At the simplest way we can apply aparigraha is ask that question. Is this necessary or is it a luxury, right? Obviously, there are some things that are necessary, to continue day-to-day life. But the nature of our materialistic world is that slowly the luxuries start to become necessities, right? And then somehow there always seems to be less to go around, right? But if one can, even a small thing, in a small way, make that change and say, maybe I can give 10% of that at least to charity. Right? That is a very powerful expression of aparigraha. Right? How much do I really need to, and of course, living in today's world, it is not easy. There are many things that we end up having to need. And so some judgment or discrimination is required there. But even so, even if a 5% reduction can be made, then that's very powerful. In the deeper yogic sense, it is also applied to non-clinging to certain notions and thoughts, which may trouble the mind. So in meditation, sometimes certain things will upset or trouble the mind frequently. So the ability to not cling to those concepts, viewpoints, is also the inner meaning of aparigraha.
For instance, sometimes when you sit for meditation, some things just recur a lot of times.
Yes.
But if you could help it, they wouldn't be happening, right? I mean, if you could really help not letting things recur, then what was the problem? But they do. So, I mean, how do you choose to not let these things happen?
So one has to investigate the root of what is causing the recurrence, right? Yeah. So it's an investigative procedure, right? And that is something that has to be done in the laboratory of the mind, right? Yeah. So, usually it is because we have identified with a certain role in an interaction that makes us that makes that thought recur. Right? So usually if, this is a very simple rule. If your senses are pleased and your ego is stroked, you will not usually have problem letting go of any interaction, right? If either the senses are displeased or the ego is not stroked or injured, then there will be some recurring problem, right? Correct? Yeah. Okay. So then one must then inquire, why is the ego getting injured in this situation, right? So either there is something that can be done, and there is a certain limit beyond which we have to let go. There are things which are outside the control, right? We can give you a simple example. I'm here talking to all of you, right? By and large, 99.999% of the time, everyone is very respectful and understanding and asks wonderful questions, right? Suppose tomorrow somebody comes and says, you're a stupid fool to me, right? Should I get upset by it? No. It's contrary to common knowledge, but what can you do? In that person's mind, I'm a stupid fool, right? So be it, right? By them saying a stupid fool, do I become a stupid fool? No, I don't become a stupid fool, right? So similarly, people can say many things about you, right? But it's only when we insert the identification that this is said about me, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that depersonalization can help a lot in, then it doesn't bother after a while, okay, right?
Okay.
And one can justify it in many ways. Maybe there is an element of truth in what that person says also. Maybe there is a stupid fool part in me also. right? Correct?
Yeah.
Possible, right? No one is 100% intelligent. So maybe there is an element of truth. So let it be. Very good. Maybe if there is an element of truth, there is something to learn, right? So in either sense, one can become impervious by either quickly learning what has to be learned from that. So yeah, so let us take that simple example. Person says, yeah, there may be an element of, so let us examine the viewpoint. Is it true? Perhaps yes, maybe in that interaction, I did something that made the other person feel that this is not an action of an intelligent person. Fine. So I can fix that, right? Or two, there is no basis, right? In which case, again, there should be no reason to. Right? But yes, but this is, while on the surface said easily, because of the nature of the mind, we have formed certain very deep ruts in them. And not all interactions are so easy to overcome in one sitting. And they will take repeated sittings. Right? Sorry, there was another comment or question.
This is one small question.
Right.
So you mentioned the intermediate stage mentioned in Yoga Sutra, that Maitri Karuna Mudita Upeksha.
Right.
So is it the intermediate state for the person on the path of Dhyana Yoga or Raj Yoga, or is it recommended for everyone? And particularly, I am asking about that Upeksha part of that.
Ah.
Let's say someone is on the path of other yoga, like Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga.
Mm-hmm.
What is the recommendation?
So the Lord is infinitely wise in the proportion of gunas bestowed on us. Right? Okay. Lord's wisdom is beyond question. Our wisdom, maybe one can question. Right? Okay. So suppose at a given stage, one is impelled very deeply by seeing a particular public outrage or a greatly wicked act, right? You're impelled to act against. That's fine. I mean, you can go ahead and do that, whatever you need to do. That is, if it is done with the idea that, okay, I'm very upset by this. This is God's way of making me act. If it is done with that act of surrender, then if you get a pushback or you are completely foiled in your efforts, do not be upset by it, right? And that's so the prescription. On the other hand, as probably the wisdom deepens and deepens, those closer and closer are able to see it with indifference also. So a judgment need not be made whether another person is doing like this, but we can take some examples, right? So you see there are people like, let's take simple example of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda ji, right? Ramakrishna was embodying that upeksha, right? He would be indifferent to various acts of wickedness. But Swami Vivekananda, on the other hand, was on balance endowed with more rajas. Right? Although guided by sattva, with great energy, he went all around doing many things, social reform, other things, right? But as long as those were done with the attitude of this is just the gunas playing with the gunas, not with, so to the extent that one attaches that, oh, I'm doing this, I must see this viewpoint through to be right, then there is going to be some humbling experience along the way, right? But if it is done with the idea that, well, in this state, in this particular circumstance, it is my job to, let me give you an example. So for instance, let's say I'm teaching a class and I find a student cheating, correct? This cheating is a papman, right? Apunya, correct? At that stage, it is not right for me to say, to be indifferent. There, in my role as a teacher, I have to enforce academic integrity. It is correct there. But As long as it is done without an attachment, then I should not have any thing on the outcome. Tomorrow, if somebody above overrides my decision, you can only push it as far as you can push it. But in that instant, it is my class, it is my job, I have to do it. Do you understand now?
Ji sir, yes.
That would be dereliction of duty to not do it. So knowing what is my duty is very important.
Ji sir.
Dr. Shankar, I have a question about the earlier verse. So self we are talking about, right? Starting with verse 5.
Right?
So the elevate the self by self. So do not weaken the self, right? So
Right.
the self we are talking here, and then in the corresponding the ongoing verse, self. So the self is the referring here is the jivatma self, because so all other the sheath like the panchakosha and everything that is the form of self, right? Like the form of Brahman itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of confused there. Maybe I circle. So.
It is confusing. In words, right? Words can be confusing, right? But you have the right intuition. The basic limited identification is what is. So we talked about this many times in satsang, right? Why does my notion of self end at the tip of my finger and doesn't extend to you? Right? So if somebody slaps you, why don't I feel the pain? So that's yourself, right?
Right.
So starting from the point where somebody pokes you and you feel the pain, that's the beginning of yourself, right? So that self has to be subdued.
Right.
Very simple, very practical. Don't get involved in all these words, right? Just sit and examine.
Okay.
Now to continue, I want to give another counter example to what Pranav was saying, which came today. So sometimes from time to time we attend pujas locally, right? So my daughter was once saying, so somebody once at one of the pujas, somebody was saying me, you should go and tell the priest that this, whoever was officiating, someone, that this ucharan is wrong, right?
See.
At that point, I made the decision, it's not my point, it's not my job. That's not the right thing to do. At that point, when with whatever Shraddha, whoever is officiating is doing it, it did not seem the right thing to do. So this is a very personal judgment thing. So at that time, it was better to not interfere, right? So this has to come with experience, right? Where is the right time to interfere? So if I know one verse correctly, should I go around every place I hear it? Should I go around saying, no, this is wrong, this is wrong? This makes no sense at all. It is disturbing the greater peace, right?
Ji.
If somebody comes and asks me, then definitely I will tell you what is right and wrong to the best of my knowledge, right? But it's not my job to be going around telling everybody what to do, correct?
Ji.
If you come to my class, then you are subjecting yourself as a student to my class. I have a right to tell you what to do, right? And you always have the choice to leave the class also, right? This is the way. And this way is very powerful, right? It creates very little disturbance and it has greatest effect, positive effect on everyone. Because when it is receptive, then you can have good effect, right? When there is no receptivity, you cannot have much effect, right? So, Mahesh, was it clear? I just circled back to Pranav because I thought it's important to give the opposite example also.
I mean practical.
Yeah.
So
Right.
one question I have, so talking about mental concentration during the meditation, going into the meditative phase. So usually what happens, maybe it happened to others also, I'm not sure. So when I sit in the meditation, usually what happens is that the impelling project, some projects or some meetings or something, the when I sit in the meditation, the creative ideas keep coming, which doesn't come when I sit in a chair or try to work. But when I'm in the meditation, the creative idea come, and when I sit in the meditation, I do the sankalpa that okay, this time, this is my meditation time, I'm gonna do meditation, I'm not gonna try to think anything, I'm directing towards concentrating my mind.
Right.
But that helps, to do the worldly things like job and other stuff. But my purpose is, sitting there, I'm trying to meditate. So, and until my mind finds the solution,
Right.
of that problem, it's going to come to like 4, 5 different points which are helpful.
Right.
Clarify things, but that is disturbing. So, basically focusing on the right thing, so that is like sometimes really disturbing.
Yeah. No, it's not unusual. I'm sure it happens to a lot of people. It's so um, you're not uniquely challenged in that sense, right? This happens to everyone. When you calm the mind, then actually good ideas can start coming, right? So the best thing is to try and shelve, like tell the mind, okay, this is a good idea. Let me set it aside. Maybe when I'm done with meditation, I'll write it down, right? So don't fight it, right?
Mhm.
Say, okay, this is good. So actually, God is giving me some good ideas, right? I will deal with this, right? Just as, when you go about your day, sometimes you say, oh, I have to do this important thing. You just write it down in a list, right? Correct? So you don't forget it, right? But then don't think about it after that. That's a mental discipline.
Mhm.
When its time comes, you'll do it, right?
Right.
So, but what you're saying is very true. It's not easy. It takes time. Mind has a very bad habit that it will not do what it's supposed to do at that time, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that is a training. It's an ongoing progress and project for everyone.
Sometimes whole meditation time
Right? Goes.
end up.
Yeah. So then what you have to say is, yeah, this is something that is agitating the mind a lot. So, that day you just have to say, okay, I will try again tomorrow, right? Again, I will come back with the same attitude that if it comes up, I welcome it. Okay, this is a good idea. I will write it down after the meditation. But right now, let me try. And slowly, slowly, it does change. It does turn, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. This is natural. Um, because it's a confluence of different things. You see, it is a blessing also to have a time in your life when you can have sufficient uh, window where things that, and it should be the practice, right? Because we never know when it will get more busy.
I lost you for 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's yeah. I just said so. This is normal, and I said it's a blessing to have a time in your life when you can have, a little relatively free time to meditate, when it allows you to concentrate on that. Because for most people in Grihastha ashram, family, children, work, these are the three things that constantly beset their mind, right? Either there's something at work or there's something with the family that needs attention, right?
Right. Something always there.
Right. So, of course, if one is a student, you're in a pretty lucky state till the family comes along. You only have studies or maybe studies and work, right? So that's actually a better time. But once one has entered householder life, it's very definitely challenging, right? More challenging. So the earlier one can start, but even so, one should not give up just because one is in that state, because there are only two ways. One is the more training you do, the more it is better as you grow older, right? Because even after householder life is over, another peculiar thing happens. As we age, they say, Vriddhastavat chinta sakta. The old people are beset by worries, you know. So one peculiar thing will happen after a certain age. You can't do anything about your family or your work, but you'll worry about both, right? So this is insurance still against that worrying, right? So whenever you can start, every point you are investing in the future, right? to make life better down the line.
Dr. Shankar, I need to ask one more thing.
Surely.
Lately, I started to listen to Rudram Namakam and Chamakam chantings because you told that listening to Vedas is
Did I?
a way of pranayam, right? So I was wondering if I could
Yes.
learn to chant them myself, it would be better. Can you
Yes.
guide me to a particular source where I can learn that?
Definitely the best way is if you can learn from. So for you are still in Ames, right?
Where?
You're still in Ames, right?
I'm not in Ames. I'm in Northwestern, near Chicago.
Oh, okay, you're in Chicago, right? Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, you're right. Pranav mentioned. I think if you can find, nowadays with this COVID-19 stuff is a little challenging, but if you can find a local priest, like who is well versed, right? Best way is to learn from them. That's the top way to learn, you know. You may have to do a little bit of finding and research to find the one, but Northwestern, I'm sure there is going to be definitely someone available. Maybe now in this situation you have to do it through Zoom or Skype or something, right?
So are you suggesting an official authority over this in Northwestern?
Yeah.
Oh,
pardon me?
At Northwestern, you're saying find a.
No, there will usually. I'm sure there are temples in the Chicago area, right?
Oh, okay.
Quite a few, won't you think? Right. So affiliated with the temples, there should be some priests. So here I can recommend Pandit Vasudev Kumar is very knowledgeable. I'm sure he would be able to teach if somebody requested. You have to adjust with their schedules a little bit, but that's personally I think the best way to learn. Second best way is there are recordings, there are resources online, right? That's also acceptable. But this way, if you do it with a live person, by giving the Guru Dakshina, you're supporting also their livelihood, and so in that way it is nicer, right? You're keeping the living tradition alive.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Wonderful. I think it's a great resolve. I wish you good luck. If I knew someone I think Aurora Temple would have probably very good priests. I'm not familiar with the others in the area there. But that would be my starting point, is to ask. Right? Also, if you happen to know, so if you're interested in Rudram Chamakam, you must be Yajurvedi, probably your tradition is, right?
I don't know much about it. Someone just told me that it's nice to start with this. So
sure, it's very popular. Most are Yajurvedi followers. So yes, that is definitely the most easy to access and learn. Right. Any other questions?
I just, when I was looking at the local priest or any resource, I saw the Vivekananda Vedanta Society of Chicago. There is in Chicago. Maybe the Swamijis there, they might have an idea. They might help. Right?
Yeah, there is one.
Yeah.
Right. I just saw that.
Thank you, Mahesh. Yeah, I think basically trying to support someone who is knowledgeable locally is very nice. You can do that. Yeah. Anything else? I hope you're all enjoying the readings and staying healthy. And how is it going at your various places? Anyone want to share their experience?
Let me start.
Yes, certainly, Mahesh.
We're doing good. Still the cases in Massachusetts. This is number 3 state.
Wow.
So this is in case of the cases,
right.
And we were in lockdown for almost 2 months. So my parent and the little one. So now we started.
Tacham yora vrinimahe gatum yajnaya gatum yajnapataye daivihi swastirastunaham swastirmanushebhyaham urdhvam jigatu bheshajam shanno astu dvipadehe sham chatushpade Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.